My honest thoughts on Research Story after playing the game for over 10 hours. Consider this a first impressions review because I've obviously not played 50 hours. I've not played every season, every festival, but I did start to feel after 10 hours that I had grasped what I personally was feeling about the game. So I thought I would share it with you, and I hope it helps someone out there decide if this game is right for them or not. Starting with the story, you are greeted by Valley on your farm in Shimmerbrook. She tells you that she is the head archivist of the Violet Archive and she'll be your research mentor. You'll research plants and animals in your journal and you'll collect research to submit that to the Violet Archive. And this research is taking place in order to record the development in this region. There are romanceable NPCs. There are many characters, 10 of which are romanceable. The character portraits are really great in this game. It's one of the first things that really stood out to me. You have all sorts of different fantastical creatures like orcs and who knows what, and a girl with birds in her hair. Looks like you've got some elves. So I like that. I think that makes it unique. The character portraits are really, really cute and it just immerses you into the game more. So I always appreciate character portraits. There seems to be a variety of diversity and the variety of, romanceable candidates that you might like. There is some repeated dialogue when it comes to the NPCs, but that didn't really bother me that much. Honestly, most of my gameplay, I wasn't spending it with the NPCs, but I did run into quite a few cutscenes with the NPCs, and I do appreciate that in a game. I didn't feel like there was too much dialogue or too much time spending on the other people in the town, but I also didn't feel like they were super immersed in my gameplay, where playing other farming sims, I do feel like they're a very main important part of the game. Some of the mechanics and settings of the game's mechanics seemed fine to me. I was surprised to see that the tools are separate from the inventory. That is something I always really appreciate. You already don't start with a lot of inventory space in these games, so to have that extra space helps a ton. I played on mouse and keyboard, so I don't have any experience playing this game on controller, but I do believe the game is verified on Steam Deck. In the settings, you're able to turn off fainting, you're able to lengthen your days if you want longer days or shorter days. And there are other customizable settings as well for just different options and accessibility for people. I personally turned off the fainting because I felt like I was losing my energy so fast early on, and the fainting was just annoying because I'd be thrust into the next day. You do lose money, I think, but at the beginning of the game when that was happening, I hadn't. And then, anyway, I turned it off. So I wasn't really affected by that part. So that can change the experience of the game, which I like having that option. Gameplay. You will research plants and animals by collecting samples and researching them from your inventory. You can find over 90 plants, creatures, and fish. I think it was like over 30 types of creatures that walk around that you could collect on your farm, and you can submit the research about all these things to the archive. You're going to start with 3 research slots in your backpack, and you'll gain more along the way. To research an item, you need to observe it in the wild again after finding a sample, and for plants specifically, you'll use your magnifying glass when you come across it again. But for animals, you'll need to feed them their preferred meal in order to observe them while they're distracted eating their little meal. And once you observe the plants, you'll gather seeds from them when you forage them from now on. And with animals, you'll be able to tame that specific animal while they're eating the food, but you'll have to retame them each time if you want multiple of that animal. And then you can get eggs from the animals, drops from the animals, things like that once you build your bond with them. With the animals, you'll need to house them in the appropriate housing type based on the biome that the creature lives in. So if they're from the mines, they'll need one that is like a mine biome. If you have one that was in a grassy terrain, you'll need that type of terrain biome to put them in. And these biomes early on only have 2 spaces in them. And I honestly would rather have like a barn where you can have multiple of the same type in there. Maybe you can get that later on, but in the beginning of the game and what I've experienced, you just have 2 slots per biome. And so I don't love that, but it was okay. The part that really got annoying was you need to feed them a certain food type. So you need to organize the different animals by what kind of food type they'll eat, because the trough only takes obviously 2 slots of food. And when you put the food in there, if one is only eating the seed bowls and the other is only eating meat bowls, then only one of the animals can eat from that trough and you won't feed your animal. That's okay, but the part that really annoyed me was just getting these feed bowls because I would need to go buy them. I would need to get new ones all the time, so many different types of food. And early on, it was just a little bit annoying because I kept running out of money buying them. I didn't have enough crafting supplies to craft them all. And so that got a little tedious, but I do appreciate that, the game really goes into that research element, and that's part of it. That's part of taking care of the animals and the plants, is that you need to know about them and what kind of care they need in order to grow the bond, in order to grow the plant. And each season in the game introduces different plant and animal types. Moving on to the farming. The farming is not the main premise of this game. The research is, in my opinion. You will gather seeds from the plants that you observe, and you'll need to check your journal to learn how to care for those plants. For example, the sunflowers, they need sunlight constantly. So if it rains, they will die the next day. They'll wither up. But if you buy a sun lamp and have that on there constantly, you can connect it to the sprinkler, then they will grow. They also require fertilizer, so you need to use that in order for this to fully grow. So there is a lot of trial and error with the farming, and you'll have to go out and forage that seed again if the plant keeps dying and you don't have another seed to use. This might feel tedious, but like I said, it is appreciated by me because I do feel like it goes into that research element of trial and error and figuring it out. So if you like that, then you might like that part of this game. But for others, you might not like that, and you might like more straightforward farming where you buy the seeds, you plant it, you water it each day, and it grows. Mining. There are a few different mines that I've found so far. The mines have different riddles in them that you need to solve. And the first one that I found requires you to come back at night where a certain creature roams, and you'll need to do some research before being able to further enter into that mine. Then you'll also unlock another mine. This one has many more puzzles to be solved after you solve the first one, which I have, and you'll forage items and animals and other things in order to solve these puzzles. I've only solved one of these so far and have been working on the next one to solve. My one complaint with this is that they are so open-ended, and I wish there was like a label or more details about what item they're really looking for, because it is once again that trial and error thing, and I don't really like that when it comes to the puzzles, because maybe there's a lot more story underlying there that I want to see, and I want to see it now, but I'm not able to because they're just more so cryptic that I don't know how to solve them. But I did find that if you go out into town and you talk to a certain NPC, depending on the puzzle, then you will get some hints from that NPC on how to solve the puzzle. So that was really cool, and I liked to see that. There is a mine in that same mine area where there's plenty more puzzles where you can go down, descend into the mine, and continue to descend and descend and descend multiple levels. I haven't seen any combat in these mines, but I'm curious if there is combat because I did have a strength potion, but I had no idea what it did, but I have not seen any combat in the game so far. There is a mine elevator that seems to be able to be unlocked in this mine, but that must come later on. I haven't done that yet. I assume that it will save what level you're at in the mine, at least every 5 levels or so is my guess. But starting out, you will go in the mines and you'll just keep starting up at level 0 every time you enter. That is something to note. I didn't explore the mines a ton because I didn't feel like there was anything other than needing a certain type of gem. Other than that, I wasn't really super interested. Now you can find other creature types down in the mines, so that is fun because there's a lot of cute ones. Yeah, I just didn't feel like super invested in the mines. The fishing is cute, and it does have a fishing mini game. It's not too hard. You click when the hook is in the white, and then the area will turn green and you can reel it in. You can fish when you see a fish in the water or when there's like sparkles in the water, and you'll catch an item that you can research, and then lets you gather research for new fish and for new bait. And you do need to craft bait in order to catch fish, which might feel like another tedious thing, but it's not too hard to make fish bait. The crafting is in the inventory menu, and I do think that it could be a little more streamlined, meaning that if you just want to build that item, you didn't have to drag the items in. You could just click it, and if you had them in your inventory, it would make it, but you have to drag it over each time, put it in there, and select it in order to use it, which I kind of wish it was just, I don't know, less steps than that, but it's not a big deal. You can get crafting recipes a multiple of ways, from buying them, from building friendships with people, getting them in the mail, the bulletin board in town, and etc. You can also craft the food bowls for the animals from the crafting menu. You can also craft composter for fertilizer. You can craft chests and much more. You must have the items needed for crafting in your inventory, in your backpack though. You can't get it from the chests that you have, and you will need to craft a lot of chests because you're gathering so many things. I love foraging in games, so I find that part very fun. I collect everything, and so I need a lot of chests to save these things in because I don't have all the research slots to be able to research each item I've collected yet, so I'm saving some on hold in the background. The festivals, I have only been to the first festival so far, and I have to say I was very impressed with it. It was super unique. It was a cherry blossom festival. I wrote poems, I saw the other characters, I watched the cherry blossom leaves fall, I read the other poems. My poem didn't win, but I thought it was super unique and different, and it definitely was standalone. It's its own festival, very unique compared to other games that I've played that have festivals, and I really liked it. So it seems that there is one festival per season. I've only been in 2 seasons so far. You have to make sure that you get to the festival at the right time though, and you don't miss it. And the music in the game, I have to say it is nice. At first I was like, is it repetitive? But when you get to summer, you have a new song, and when you're in the evening of the game, you have a different song as well. So I thought that was nice. The festival had its own music, and I thought the music was overall very nice. So what makes this game stand out from other farming sims? I don't think farming is the main part of this game, but it is part of it. And it has that whole crafting element. It has the different pieces of farming life sim. So it's gonna be categorized into that. But what makes it really stand out is the research element of the game, the creature collecting element of the game, and how those things worked, which I've already explained. It doesn't feel like this game is trying to be any other game. It is unique. It stands out for sure. Yeah, when you're playing it, you don't feel like, oh, they copied that, they copied that. You just feel like you're playing a unique game that is truly its own thing, and I appreciate that a lot. So if you want something that feels a little different, this is a good one to try out. What else did I like about it? I liked the research elements. That's the thing I like the most about it. I find that those were satisfying and fun to work on. I also felt like the tutorial to learn how to do this and learn how to play this game was good and straightforward, and I wasn't like, what am I doing? I didn't really have to look anything up, except for those puzzles I would have to look up. But other than that, I felt like it was a good tutorial. I also was very impressed by the character portraits. I think they're really, really unique and really cute. And I think that the NPCs are just adorable and darling, and I appreciate that they are different. Another thing I like about the game is that the animals are fun to find, and they're very cute. They're different. They're like a grass bun or a sprout kitten. They're not just a cat. Whatever. There are some that are less unique, and you'll see them in our world, but there are some that are more fantastical and silly, and I did like that too. It adds a lot of character to the game. I also liked the music, like I said, and the festivals. Some things that I disliked about the game, feeding the animals just felt like a hassle. I felt like it was very annoying to keep crafting and making and buying, and I'm using all my money to get this food bowls. That just started getting annoying because I needed the certain animal to reproduce an item for me, but I couldn't do that until it was bonded to a certain level, but I couldn't feed it because I didn't have enough money, and then I have to go to bed for the next day because the place was closed, and like that just started to get a little annoying, but it is kind of part of the gameplay of figuring it out, and part of like needing to make money and all of that, but it's hard to do when you need to forage the seeds and do the things. So selling everything seems to be something you should do if you want to make it a little easier. I wasn't really doing that though. I also talked about the crafting, how I feel like it could be optimized just a little bit more. My biggest complaint with the game is there are times where I just felt like it got a little boring, a little lackluster, where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed because I need to grow that plant and I'm hoping that tomorrow it'll grow. Or, oh, I'm gonna go to bed because I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Should I be mining? What should I be doing? I think other than the research, I was a little bit like, what should I be doing to progress in the game? It just felt like it was missing something, which is what I'm going to talk about next. What is the game missing? I think that maybe if this game had a main story quest that started early on, where you need to forage multiple items like wood and this and that to get someone new in town or to open the mines or something, that would make it a little more interesting rather than them just opening on their own. I also think that the puzzles in the mines are a really good idea, but maybe like less guesswork to them and a little bit more. There were shadows for the first one, but for the second one, it was just little hints of what it could be. So I wish that when you put the item up there, it says, nope, that's not the right item. Something like that could help. I felt like the start was very slow start, and I just need a little bit more of a satisfying feeling when I do complete one item of research and donate it to the archive. I just felt like it was like, okay, it was submitted. But I just felt like they could have had more sounds or something that made it like really exciting that you completed it. I don't know. I also think in the archive, there needs to be labels that are very visible when you're walking up to the different bookshelves to help you see which bookshelf is what, because you would literally have to click it, be like, oh, that's not the one I need. Click the other one, say, is this the animals one? Nope, it's not. Okay, let me find the animal one. It's just like not labeled that great. That's not a huge deal, but I do think that would be something that could be helpful. And these aren't game breakers or deal breakers. These are just little things that I noticed along the way. But overall, the repetition in this game sometimes felt too repetitive. And that's like feeding the animals, trying to grow different plants. The repetition, I like that in games, but for some reason, it didn't feel very satisfying to me at all points. Like, especially when it comes to the animals I already tamed and researched, I started to not care about them as much because I already got the research from them. So to continue taking care of them, it just wasn't feeling as satisfying to repetitively need to do that each day. And that's where I was sometimes feeling the need to just go to bed to the next day so that I could get my research done for the next one and hope that the next day would be ready. This is for you if you like a slow start, you want something different, and you like the collecting and questing element, and if you like solving puzzles. But will I continue playing this game? No, not right now at least. I just feel like there is something missing that's really hooking me in. The part that I really like is the research part where you have those quests to do. I know I need to do them. They're very straightforward. But when it comes to like the mines and the other pieces, I just felt like I was feeling unsure, wasn't feeling motivated to do them. And there's something that just felt like it wasn't hooking me in and giving me the priority of like, you should be doing this. Like, this is where you should go, or this is how you can figure that next thing out. That wasn't clear to me, I guess. And so maybe I'm really missing something. Let me know in the comments below. But that's just how I was feeling throughout the game. And that's my honest thought. It's also hard for me to not feel like I'm comparing the game to other games that I like a lot more. And that feeling that I have in those games, I wasn't feeling with this one, where they easily grab my attention, easily keep me going. And I have no time in the day to do it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this, do that. I'm gonna faint. Like, I kind of like that aspect of games where I just don't have enough time in the day. And that's why you need that day lengthener. I didn't feel like I needed that in this game. And I wasn't like using every day to its potential because I didn't know how to. I hope this video helps somebody out there figure out if this game is right for them or not. I tried to go through what I liked, what I didn't, and be very just like straightforward about what this game offers. I don't think this is a bad game, but I am trying to be critical of the things that I was criticizing while I was playing the game. Everybody has different preferences for game, and so I know that there's somebody out there that this game is absolutely perfect for. I just don't have a huge incentive to play it for myself. And that's why I decided to make this video after the 10 hours, because I was starting to feel like I knew what I was thinking about the game. I wasn't feeling super immersed with the story of the game or the townies in the game, but I did enjoy the satisfying part of the researching and the different feeling of this game. I did feel like it had a slow start, and I was feeling like I needed something else to keep me invested and going, and I hadn't found that in my 10 hours. So everybody has different experiences. Maybe your experience of this game is completely different. If that is true, please let me know down below if you've played it and what you're thinking of it, if you're loving it, and what really gets you motivated in this game? I'd love to know. And thank you so much to our YouTube members for being members. You're the best. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel, and hopefully I'll see you in my next YouTube video. Bye!